Welcome to our Being Your Own CEO Success Circle this morning. It's intended especially for solopreneurs. And this morning we're going to be looking at backing up your systems. So we'll be right back after this. Hi everyone, this is Lowell Ann, your host for this morning, and greetings panel members. What's new with you in your part of the world? We will do some very short intros this morning, so let's see if we can keep it as brief as we can so we leave more time for our discussion. So I'll get started by saying that in my coaching and consulting work, I help solopreneurs who want more from their business. Together we overcome that awful feeling of overwhelm and procrastination as we bring the business and the business mastery plan into a joyful reality. So, David, you were here first this morning. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Would be happy to. I'm Dave Flannery. I'm with Affordable Websites for Small Businesses and United Country Stock Valley Realty, Team Flannery. I'm in Rock Falls, Illinois, where it's sunny today. We just got about 4 inches of snow yesterday and then the night before. And so I had to do a little bit of shoveling, not as much as Fred. Which is usually the opposite way. Over here, we usually get more snow than you guys do. So what's new? Just plugging along with the websites and writing and reviews and posting blogs and having fun.
It is fun, isn't it, David?
Yes.
Only according to those of us that love doing it, I guess. And I guess, Alana, you would be glad that there are some people that don't love doing it. So while I've got you giggling, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Alana, coming to you from Ireland. My company is ALB Digital Marketing Solutions, where I help website owners look after their websites, and I also create small websites as well. So I help people maintain their websites and write articles and write blog posts and keep things up to date. And I also have a website of my own, emptynester.blog.com, where I help empty nesters create their own online income. And I'm happy to report that I am in a no snow zone here. So we haven't gotten any snow this year. We got pummeled last year with Storm Emma, nothing this year so far. But yep, that's me. And yeah, I am happy in my job because I do this stuff. I do some of this stuff that nobody else wants to do.
and enjoy it.
And I enjoy it and I get paid to do it. So, happy days for me.
Oh, yeah. So welcome here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Let's see. Javita, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Namaste, all of you. I'm Shubhangi from India. I'm a Reiki master and also a yoga teacher, and very happy to be here.
But you do something else as well. Aren't you going to
Yes,
mention that?
I do many things. What do you want to?
Well, you're creating website as well, aren't you?
Yeah, creating websites, and at present, I'm in the process of creating a new website, Success at SEO. I find out that I like SEO very much, so I created this website and trying to promote it.
Ha, right on. Yeah, see, we all have many different things.
Many different things. Right.
Well, so I'm glad you're here, Javita. Yeah,
Same here, Alana.
yeah. So Fred,
Yeah, good morning, everyone, or good morning where I am. Good afternoon where Alana is. I'm Fred Jones, creator of Our Future Leaders, where I encourage young people to help each other with their communication skills, online sessions, helps them with their leadership skills to become the leaders that our world really needs. And there's so many changes that they face, so I look forward and I have a lot of fun working with young people.
and you're when you're working with them, you're doing some online hangout on air, aren't you?
I've done online and I do face-to-face. I have a couple of groups that I work face-to-face. Friday evening was canceled because I hadn't shoveled my driveway. I couldn't get out and I had the key to the place. So I look forward to seeing them. They had a whole bunch of speeches they prepared. They said, we're not doing enough speeches. So the last session, they all sat down and they all wrote outlines of speeches they're going to give the next week. Well, next week didn't happen. So it's going to be interesting to hear.
Oh,
It was
yes.
very enthusiastic. It was all their idea. It wasn't me. I didn't say a word. They just decided what they wanted to do, which was remarkable to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful to work with them.
Are those all homeschooled young people, or is that a mix?
No, that's a mix. That was face-to-face. This is one of the face-to-face groups.
Right on.
Homeschooled, what I'm trying to aim for as a target market for the online, because it really helps homeschooled families because they don't have to drive their child from here to there, which is a challenge. They can do it from home. And they still can build a community. As this is a community, you have built a community. They can build the same sort of community and get to know each other and help each other. And that's so important. It's one of the most important elements of our life is be able to communicate and build a community with others.
Yes. That's so true. And I have a little bit of news that, I have two pieces of news maybe I ought to share. I joined a different choir last night. It's a kind of a branch of the one I belonged to before. And they called, the choir director called for somebody to volunteer and to do all their social media and all their electronic stuff. And I said, pick me. So I'll be doing all the social media work and newsletters and things of that nature for the choir. So that will be fun. The other thing is I published my third website called ladieswalkingsticks.com. And I wrote a blog post in from myloweland.com and introduced the new website and invited people to go have a look, and also outlined the process that I used for creating that new website. So, we're all busy doing a variety of things, it seems. So, okay, so this morning we were going to talk about, somebody just arrived. I better look and see who it is. It's Vivek. Good morning, Vivek. Are you able to unmute yourself and introduce yourself? We haven't started our discussion yet.
Namaste. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, namaste. My name is Vivekanand. Vivek Technology is my name, and today I actually started a new company.
You got it started. We're on.
Yes.
All right.
Are you going to be able to? Are we going to be able to see you? Oh yes, there you are. I can see your
Yeah.
background. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the proper camera.
There
Yeah.
you are.
Are we live yet?
Yes, we
I
are.
think we are.
Yes, we are. Yeah. So I know that Vivek is in the process of moving. So are you all moved yet, or is that still in progress?
More or less, I need to arrange a couple of things. So what you see now is a bit of hodgepodge. It's work in progress.
Yes. Right on. Okay, so I think I got everybody. Have I? I just need to look again to make sure I have everybody. Yes, I do. Okay. So we were just about to begin our discussion this morning. We were going to talk about backing up our systems. And I can't remember who it was. Some last time, when it may have been just in the green room, somebody mentioned a technological disaster. When their computer broke down, and I guess one of our online friends, Craig, also had that problem. His computer completely bit the dust.
Oh,
Yeah, and but he was able to take the hard drive out of that one, and he was able to save the data in some way. But I think so. I guess my question to everybody is, what would you do if something all of a sudden happened to your computer? What would you do? And my answer would be, take a week off. Because it would take that much time to figure out how to put it all back together again.
but
I
most
think
of,
I would curl up in a ball and be
Yeah.
like,
for me, most of
for
my
about
stuff
a
is on the
day,
cloud.
curled up at the.
I'd need to be submitted to the psych ward. I'd need to be admitted to the psych ward because I'm embarrassed to say it, I haven't backed up this laptop and I can't even tell you when. I don't even know if I've ever backed it up. And so that's why I was really excited not excited, but, really thought I needed to join this particular discussion.
I'm in the same boat. I back up my websites religiously, and I have 2 or 3 of redundancies there, because I've gone through the pain of not having it backed up and rebuilding. So I hope I don't ever have to go through the pain of that. That's why I'm hoping today I can learn the secrets of backing up my system and making it an easy transition. I do have my data backed up, but I don't have my system backed up. So if I needed to restore it, like if a hard drive went out, I don't have a backup to restore the system. So I know I would lose programs because there's stuff that I have that I no longer have the keys for or whatever. And so it would be hard to replace. I'd have to buy it all again. Or not all, but I'd have to buy some of it again, which would not be fun.
2 points shall I make?
Yes.
Number 1, cloud computing.
I knew you were going to say that.
Number 2, use free open source software as much as you can.
I do
What
that
about
as much as
external
I
hard
can.
drives? What's the opinion on external hard drives? Because I have one, and I backed up the laptop that I had before this one that crapped out. I backed it up before it crapped out. So I have a lot of stuff stored on an external hard drive. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a good way to back up, but have you ever tried restoring it?
Well, most of them are they're all data files. I didn't bother a lot of the programs I don't really need because
Okay. Then you,
laptops. So I don't really need to back up any programs.
yeah, but then even with that, the question becomes how up to date the backup is. Is it? I mean, if should the hard disk on your computer crash or something like that, and you have to get a new hard disk, restore the whole thing. How far back will you be going in terms of history?
Okay, so can I answer that question?
Yes.
I will take my laptop down to my trusty computer guy down the road and say, charge me $150, restore my laptop, give me an SSD drive, and away I go. Thank you very much.
No, that's still, he is still going to ask you.
I don't think I could be bothered spending the time to do all that work when there's so many other things I need to spend my time on. So that's something that, you know, preventative medicine, of course.
No. You asked the question, external hard drive.
Yeah.
So when
I think
was the last time you actually copied stuff back onto that?
oh
I don't think I ever have.
yeah. So
What I have in place, I'm sorry, Loanne. What
Go
I
ahead.
have in place is I have an internal drive, and then all the data files that I save on the it's just specifically just for the data files. That is backed up in the cloud. In that the cloud, it's automatically synced with Google Drive, so it syncs up every time something gets filed on that drive, or something gets put into the Google Drive. And that's working well for me. So I would not lose my data. I would not lose my like the customer files I've got for my real estate business and that kind of stuff. That's all backed up. But like I said, I would lose the programmings. But as I think about it, most of the stuff I have is, you know, I have GIMP, I have Inkscape, I have Autoacity. Those are all open source files. There's a couple of them that I don't have, which is like my HD software for compiling photography. That I'd have to buy again because I'm sure I don't have the key for it. Photomatrix is the name of the software, and that I use all the time. The other one that I have is Camtasia. And that one would be a tough one to lose too. Although there are,
you could keep the key to that. The key that when you bought it, when you bought the license, the key which came with that, put it in a Google Keep file or Google Doc or something, and put it there on the cloud.
On the cloud, yeah. I have to figure out where I got the keys.
Yes. So the advice that we all have is get organized. Get your stuff organized. So I thought I might share with you my experience. My oldest son was visiting. This is a few years back now, and downloaded some kind of a photograph or went to some sort of a not very good website, and he was visiting and using my computer, and suddenly I got infected big time, which meant that I actually had to go and get a new computer.
Oh God.
However, I was lucky enough to connect with some people, some tech people that I knew, and they happened to have a used a used computer that hadn't been used for very long. So it was sort of new, nearly new. And so when I was getting that, they said, well, bring your old tower over and we'll transfer the information for you. So I did that, And what they did was they cleaned up the old one, took the hard drive out of the old one, and put it into the new one, so that it is now a backup to the system that I have. So I have two hard drives inside my computer. And I also have an external hard drive for data, but I haven't paid much attention to it lately, because I'm, as Vivek has been suggesting, I'm using Google Drive. So it's all in the cloud. So, but as I think about this conversation, the one place that I need to pay attention to and save it somewhere, somehow, is that file that has all the downloads that I have, and in each one of those download folders, I've named it by the name of the program, and there's a text file in there with the key. But it's on my hard drive, so I better save all that somewhere else. So, and the other thing that I might mention that came up when I was, and this has to do with my phone. I bought a new phone, and there's a way to transfer, everything that you have from one phone to another. But suddenly I realized I need, before I did all of that, I needed to make a list of all of the apps that I had. So that's also applies to what we need to do with our computer. Make a list of all of the important programs that you're using, and do something. Create something, or put it onto a data stick, or so that you've got the information that you need. But as I think about a lot of the stuff that's in my system, I probably don't even use anymore, because I've had computer systems for years. So I've got the same data, and all of that's, there's a lot of stuff in there that is no longer applicable. But the housekeeping takes a long time, and that's where we all get caught, isn't it? Is the housekeeping.
Yes, it is.
So, and I mean, when we all started, we all bought programs and loaded them onto our computers, and now, as Vivek says, we now, we look at open source programs and so forth. For instance, now Zoom, to really be able to function well on Zoom, you download the Zoom onto your computer. Now, that's not the only way that you could, I mean, if somebody gives you a link to Zoom, you can go in and participate without having done that, but you can't start a Zoom yourself unless you download the Zoom program. So that's a perfect example of something that you might have on your computer. But I guess the other piece, and we're getting into a little bit into organization here and away from backup, but the other thing I realized not long ago is I need to download the LastPass database and put that somewhere, because some of that is in the cloud, but it's always a good idea to have all those passwords backed up somewhere. So there's I mean, when we think about it, there's a lot of stuff that we just take for granted, isn't there? Yeah. So we've talked about our web. What about our website? I have 3 websites, and I know that my hosting service does a backup every day. And I have gone and requested them to sort of move it back to the day before because of something stupid that I did. But that created some problems in and of itself that took me quite a long time to correct. I mean, I was able to do that, but Alana, what do you do to back up your do you just depend on your hosting service to back up your website, or what do you do?
I do, and as you were talking, I did have a problem with my website at some point where I couldn't get into it. Now, if you can't get into your website, it'll be difficult to restore it. So it's one thing to have a corrupt website where you still have access to the WP admin and you can log in. But if you don't, then you do need your hosting company to help you with that. And it's important that they are on that. So in my case, there's no way I could get to my website. So they had to do the restore for me so I could log in. I couldn't even log in. I couldn't get to the panel. So I do rely on them for that. But I also think it's a good idea for me to have my own copy, and that's where, you know, like the WP all-in-one migration plugin is a lifesaver.
Yes.
So it's a really good thing to use that.
So here's a piece that I was not aware of until this week or last week. I was aware of that plugin, but I thought it was just used for transferring material from one website onto a new website, or, you know, back and forth. I just found out that that plugin has a feature where you can download to your own computer.
Well, not only that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and not only that, I just did a website for a client, and she wanted me to back it up, you know, figure out the backup. And the clients that I work with, they don't really want to have anything to do with their websites. They kind of just want it to look pretty and want the stuff to be there, but they don't want to do anything on the back end.
Right.
So this client wanted me to do a backup for her, and I scheduled a backup using the all-in-one WP migration, WP all-in-one, whatever, you know what I mean.
Yes.
That plugin, and I set it up for Dropbox, and it runs every Sunday night because she doesn't do a lot of blogging. So it runs every Sunday night at 3 a.m, and it that file goes over to her Dropbox, and you can schedule it right into the plugin where you want that file to go, and that way it's not taking up space on your hard drive, it's in the cloud.
Right on.
You can even use Google Drive for the same thing.
I think though with the WP migration, it's limited. The free version is limited. Now I know Dropbox, you can arrange to do that for free with Dropbox, but I'm not sure about any of the other things you might have to pay for. You might have to buy the premium.
Yeah, but you can also do it with the Google Drive. Instead of Dropbox, you can have the backups on Google Drive.
Okay, so, and if you, especially if you're G Suite like you and I are, Vivek, we probably got the space for it.
Yeah.
So there's another aspect that we all need to pay attention to, and I certainly have not. So that's in my to-do list to get that set up for my 3 websites. So that's now, David, I know that you do that all the time, don't you? You use that for backing up your website.
Yes, I use it, and I do a backup whenever plugins come in and they need to be updated. I do it before I do the update. I do it before I make any major changes, so that if I make something goofy and I don't like it, I can go right back to it. And then I at least do it at least once a week for the websites if I haven't done it.
Wow.
And it's saved my tail a number of different times. I can't tell you, you know, 5 or 6 different times where I've made changes on the website and I didn't like the changes, so I wanted to go back to where I was when I first started, before I did the changes, and was able to do that. And it's it's a good habit to get into. And I've had it a couple times or one time with Divi and one time with another plugin where it didn't the revision didn't react well with my website, and I needed to go back to that point and was able to, so that I then contacted the Divi and contacted the plugin, and Divi straightened theirs out. The plugin didn't, so I quit using the plugin. And I went to a
So
different
I think
plugin.
you need to share what Divi is. Not everybody will know what Divi is. I mean, some of us do, but
It's a theme from Elegant Themes, and it's a page building theme. And about a year and a half ago, they had an update where they updated it, and it didn't work well with some people, and they immediately put out a new update about 2 days later. But in between that time, I was caught, whereas if I didn't have it back, if I hadn't backed it up just before I installed the plugin, I might have gone back 2 or 3 revisions, and then I would have had to update those revisions that I had. Now, it might not have been much, but since I did it just before I did the plugin or did the update,
yeah,
I was right back right at the
where
point
you started.
where
Yeah.
I started. So I didn't have
Yeah.
any. All it was a matter of 10 minutes of monkeying around, and I was right back where I was, and the site was live, and and I didn't
Right.
lose anything. With all-in-one migration, the other thing that's good about it is if you can't get on your website, all you have to do with it is get your website working again with any theme, just a WordPress install on any theme, and then bring in the all-in-one migration plugin and update. You do your restore, and it's right back where you last had the last backup. And
So there's something that's really really important. There's another thing that I wasn't aware of. So if something goes wrong, if you're using WordPress and maybe the theme doesn't work anymore or whatever, you can always just go in and use any old theme at all. And I think that's what you were saying, eh, David?
Correct.
And then you could use the all-in-one migration to go back to where you were. So
yes, restore.
It installs all the plugins and most of the settings. It restores it back to what it was. It restores it back to the stage
Where you were at.
when the backup was taken.
Yeah.
Correct. So if you do it just as you're doing a plugin or something like that, it's right there. If you wait and you haven't done it for a week, and you've made changes between that week and then those changes are lost, which is that's why if I'm posting a blog or something like that, if it's a big blog, I will back it up just before I start. That way I'm right where I was, and I can start again if I need to. If I'm making pages or whatever, if I'm going in and making a small edit, I won't back it up most of the time.
Well, so there's something on my to-do list. I better get in there and do that.
It's just all part of what, when I start working on a website, basically almost 80% of the time when I start working on a website or do anything with it, the first thing I do is back it up and then proceed to do what I want to do. And it's just part of the routine of starting to work on something, and it becomes negligible to me. I know that it takes 10 minutes to do this process, so I plan on doing other work while that's going on, other prep work or research or whatever, and then or commenting on WA or whatever, and then once it's done, then I start working. I do the updates. Then I go into publishing whatever I'm going to publish, or fixing whatever I'm going to fix, and then I'm on my way.
Right. That's a good. So, does that make sense? Like, Fred, I know that you're not in WA, so I'm concerned that that we might be using terminology that, you know, we all understand because we're in WA. So did that all of that make sense to you, Fred?
Well, I understand that WA has the ability to offer, and that's great because this is an important topic for all of us. As far as making sense, that's my understanding now. All-in-one is a plugin, I believe.
It's
I saw it last week.
all-in-one migration is what it's called, and it is a
Okay.
plugin that it doesn't matter where you're hosted. If you're using WordPress, then you can just go in and download the plugin and proceed from there.
And is that what David uses?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got the impression, yes.
Yeah.
And so that sounds fantastic. I do have on my hosting, they have something called Instaltron or something like that. I can't pronounce it properly. But every day, automatically, it backs up my website. However, I've never had the opportunity to use it. So I don't know if it's as good as you say, bringing back to the last, exactly your website to the last time it was backed up. But every day I get an email saying it's backed up and it tells me how many megabytes. Now,
Well, if it's every day that you get a notification, that's a good sign.
Yeah, and I like that fact, but I don't know how good it is because I've never used it.
You never had to.
If I need it, I might find, oh, that's great, but it didn't back up what I thought it was doing. So that's a concern.
Yeah, and their job, you know, part of their job is to do your backup, but their main concern is not your website. Their main concern is keeping their network running so all the websites can run.
No, but it's telling me that my website, it tells me that, you know, the name of my website's been backed up and how much space it's been backed up. But again, I've never tested it. And if the time to test it is not when I need it.
Not when you need it.
Yeah.
That's the wrong time to find out, oh, it's not doing what I thought it's doing. Because, you know, that all-in-one sounds wonderful because you've used it and it does work. I don't know if mine works. That's one challenge. Now, talking about backups, I get the impression, and will you please correct me, there's at least 3 areas we got to be aware of. One is our website, which we're talking about, to bring it back to exactly when it was last. That's fantastic. I'm not too sure what I'm doing is right. The other one is if your disk crashes, and I've had 2 disk crashes. It's fine if they can take your disk out of one computer and put it in, but that's not a disk crash. That was infected, and they can get rid. What if your disk crashes? Well, that's happened to me twice over the years. And when that happened, I had Norton was backing up automatically every day, making sure that all the most recent ones. However, I've stopped using Norton just recently, and I'm looking for an alternative. My one techie friend said, try something called OneDrive. Well, that was terrible. And he sort of said, well, he's sorry, but it used to work, but something's gone on or didn't work for me. It took almost a month for them to back up my drive. It was unbelievable. And I don't know why, and I couldn't find out. And when I contacted the support, they said, try this. And I wasn't overly impressed, in other words. So I've now recently, and only yesterday, I signed up for Google Drives. I have Google Drive, but I only had the free 15 gigabytes, and that's not enough. So I signed up for a larger paying on a monthly basis.
So you're a G Suite now?
No, I just signed up for the Drive. I didn't get G Suite. I just said, and it's $199 US a month for 100 gigabytes. And I thought, I'll try that. Now, the thing is, I don't know how it works. I'm trying to find out. That was only yesterday. So yesterday morning, I was saying, I need, when my disk crashes, what I used to have on Norton backup. And I instead of spending that money, I thought, well, I'll try. I'm happy with Google Drive. Now I hear the Vex saying, oh, Google Drive does this, Google Drive does that. It automatically back everything up. I don't know how to set that up yet. So I need to find that out. Maybe someone can tell me later. But that's the second one, is when your disk drive crashes. The third one is when your disk drive crashes, what about all that software that we're talking about? What about your Windows and how it's configured? Now, there are methods of backing that up as well. You can put it on a thumb drive or something. And so when you get your new computer, or your new disk drive, whatever it is that crashed, you can put that in and you can restore your system. So it's your system, your disk drive, and your website. There's 3 areas that we need at least to look at, how we can back it up and make sure that it's not, like everybody said, I'll be curled up in a ball if it happens to me. Or I want to go to I'm going to go crazy, because it is not fun if you're not ready. It can really cause you enormous amount of heartache if any of these things happen to you. Meanwhile, if you're organized, it can be 5 or 10 minutes, for each one, or whatever it takes, to download, because it's somewhere that and it's everything you want. And as Ilana said, the challenge is, I did it, but I haven't done it for years. So we can't rely on us to do it, although David's got the impression, I do this automatically, but we don't do everything automatic. There's certain things like backing up our disk drive. Maybe it's automatic, but we want to make sure that there is a system in that it's done automatically, or something that reminds us, maybe our system maybe not backed up automatically, but we put it on a thumb drive every so often, and I don't know, something comes and hits us over the head and said, time to do this, get it on your thumb drive, otherwise you're going to be in trouble. I don't know. So those are the reasons. This is a fantastic topic, because if you've ever been through a crash, which I think all of us have, it ain't fun.
It sure isn't.
So
can I address a few of those right there? Because Fred, you said a mouthful there. So for your drive, right? That's a hardware thing. So you should have that backed up, and you should do a full backup of your hard drive, right? If you want to keep your operating system, all your applications, all your data, everything like that, you can actually back up your whole drive. Now, if it crashes, the reason it could crash is because it could have like a bad sector. And I know I'm getting really technical here, and I apologize for that, but that's a hardware issue, and restoring that is just going to bring it back to blue screen again. So if you have to get, if you can manage to back up your complete hard drive, operating system and all, and put it somewhere, then if your disk does crash and you can restore it, you have to make sure you get a disk that's compatible with your computer as well. And so again, that's a pretty technical thing. You can order those online, but you do have to make sure that it's compatible. And you could do the work yourself, or you could have Joe Blogs down the street in the computer store do it for you, and he'll pay you. But if you have all your stuff automatically stored somewhere, that'll cost you less than having them put on an operating system and you restoring all the data and figuring out what you need and what you don't need. So that's addressing the hard drive issue and the hardware issue. The WordPress issue, I would recommend that you in case you don't want to wait until something falls apart before you know how to fix it. So I would recommend trying to restore your website from a backup, and write down the procedures and document those procedures, so that when your website, if for whatever reason your website crashes and you can't get your hosting company or whatever, you can at least know how to restore it, or you have a copy of it for someone else to restore. You can always hand it off to your company and they can put it back on for you as well. So I just wanted to address those two things, and I'm sorry I got so technical.
It's okay.
You're fine.
There's David waving.
The one thing I would add to that is, if you're going to do a test and figure out how to do it, is I would purchase a real cheap website or domain, one of the 99 centers you can get, that has a weird extension, and experiment with it on that. And that way you can just throw up a dummy site and dummy WordPress and everything. And if it goes all wrong, you're not playing with your original website. Then you know what you
Yeah.
And here again, we have an advantage because we get 25 of those type of sites with our hosting, which makes it really nice, so that when you want to do experiments, you just put up what we call a site Rubik site, and away it goes. And it makes it a lot easier. You can make all your mistakes on it.
Yeah. Isn't that what Jay calls a sandbox?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you can create a sandbox. That's actually a local thing you can do on your computer. And a lot of people that don't want to buy hosting will create a sandbox on their local drive and build their website that way locally and then upload it after. So yeah, it's called the sandbox, and you can build that locally on your hard drive. That's you can there's plenty of information out there to create a sandbox. So you can always test that out and try it out on your own laptop, because it gets stored in its own little private area of your computer. So you can't get to it from the internet. So it's not like someone can get into your computer. You can't get there from there. So
see, now I thought Jay was using that term sandbox in a metaphorical way. I was not aware that there was such a thing as a technical sandbox.
There's a technical sandbox.
I didn't know that.
And
It has become a technical term.
And the reason I know that is because I did it years ago when I first started building websites way back in, I don't know, 2008, I want to say. That's what I did. I created it on a local drive, and I built a sandbox, and I did all my testing on that, and I built the website. And then the problem with building a website locally, though, is the links, because as soon as you upload it, all the links still say local drive.
Oh,
so
you have to fix
that's where it gets real. That's where it gets really messy.
No,
that's where the all-in-one migration comes in. I'm
Alana,
sorry, Vivek.
Yeah, Alana, yes, David is right. That's where all-in-one migration comes in.
Well, back then they didn't have all-in-one migration.
You can, in fact, that's what I did for one of my clients. I built the site on my local machine. I checked all the links, everything. Then when the new site was, his domain was required to be, he was hosting with someone else. So I took over the site. So when I wanted to do it, so I built it on my local machine first. I used all-in-one migration tool, and then uploaded it to the website, and off it went.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's great.
I've used the local website building. I really prefer doing that. The reason I've stopped doing it basically is I can't share it with other people very easily. It can be shared, but it's difficult.
In the sense you can't show it to the client and say this is how it looks and so on. No, you have
to make changes.
You have to take your laptop or computer to the client and then show it to him. So,
it's a little more difficult, but so I've got one question. Does anybody, Alana, do you have a backup program that you use to back up your drives? I know you haven't done it in a while, but is there anybody who has a recommendation? That's the one thing that I was looking for.
I don't actually. Because honestly, I would probably only back up my data files anyway, because if my hard drive crashed, those applications, I would just have the local computer guy reinstall it. And I suppose that's I probably should have a backup plan, but I don't really, unfortunately.
I use Acronis True Image.
What was it again?
Acronis, ACRONIS.
ACRONIS. Acronis.
True Image.
True Image?
Yeah, it takes it. It says it takes the true image of your hard disk and restores it back.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because really what that sounds like it does is it mirrors the drive.
Yeah.
It's like a disk mirroring software.
Yeah.
Can I ask a couple questions? Because that's
go ahead.
Just what Vivek said, Acronis True Image. Where is that stored? Is that stored on another hard drive, or is that stored on the internet? Because if you have a true image of your drive, where is it?
Yeah, it creates images which you can burn into DVD drive, DVD discs. You can send it to cloud. There are multiple different options available there.
Okay,
Whereas actually the true image, that software itself, you'll have to download, install on your computer,
Mm-hmm.
and then run. But when you run it and it creates the backup image, that image can be created into DVD drive, DVD discs,
Mm-hmm.
or you can send it to the cloud somewhere, Google Drive, whatever.
okay, that sounds wonderful, because my other question was what Ilana said. Oh, you just go down to the computer guy and let him do that, or you can do it yourself if you want, putting it on a hard drive. But then, how often are you going to do that? So I did it a year ago, and then my computer crashes 2 years later, and then I've only got a backup from 2 years. I want something. An Acronis sounds like it solves that problem. It does it
Exactly.
automatically. You don't have to do it. That sounds wonderful.
It also has what is called as incremental backups, which is if you have backed up last week,
Mm-hmm.
and last week's backup is there, and you have done some changes during the week,
Mm-hmm.
and you take a backup today, so it only takes
Yeah.
what changes you have made,
Yes, yeah.
not the whole
Yeah,
thing.
that
Yeah.
sounds fantastic. That sounds like the networking backup stuff that I used to use years ago.
Yeah.
So is
to me, that's wonderful. And then the other thing was the sandbox. Yeah, I can understand having it on your hard drive. And then how would you then say, okay, I want to test the backup of it, rather than having it on the internet? And then, like David says, okay, on his hosting and my hosting as well, I can have more than one website. So I could create a website on the internet and then test.
yeah.
You know, I'd rather do that than, because that's the real life, isn't it? Rather than having it in a
Yeah, I mean, the only
sandbox on your
difference is where
drive.
you're uploading it to. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
You can use the all-in-one migration both ways. You can
Okay.
create a backup of a real website and create a sandbox on your computer and see if it works in this sandbox mode. Everything.
Mm.
Go to all links, and they should all be saying localhost and so on, not HTTP
All right.
something. When it works, you know the backup thing is working.
Well,
Is it
you've helped me a
plugin?
lot. When I got out of this, is I got to look at Acronis True Image and all-in-one migration. If I have those two working and I know how they operate, I will then say, good, bring on the problems, and I think at least I won't curl up in a ball for a week.
Well,
if you want to really go insane, you could partition your hard drive and partition your hard drive, and then boot up and have a dual boot up into the other side and upload there and test it.
Ask Loveland.
and I was just about to share that.
The
So
dual boot,
Yes.
partition your hard drive.
Yes.
so I have Ubuntu loaded on in the other partition. We Vivek walked me through that, and the reason that I wanted to do that was because Windows does weird things, and I wanted an
Yeah.
alternative.
Yeah,
Never noticed
David was talking about Divi, and Divi had problems and so on. At that point, I was thinking, okay, Divi is still a small company
Yeah,
compared to Microsoft.
yeah. So, and the other thing I was going to say is that another way, if your main computer crashes on you, just have a backup computer.
Well, that's the thing.
I have a laptop. I have a laptop over there that has both Windows and Ubuntu on it.
If you've got a partitioned hard drive and the disk crashes, that partition is not going to do you any good.
No.
If it crashes, it crashes. It's all on the same drive.
It depends on the actual crash. Maybe
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying like if it's
Partition,
a hardware issue, like a bad sector or something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that partition might have gone corrupt. Maybe the other partition is still okay.
That brings up
Maybe.
another question I have.
Go ahead.
Mhm.
The hard drives that we normally have are the spinning with the what do you call it?
The disk.
Magnetic disk.
Yeah, and that's a crash when the heads hit the drive and it messes it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But solid state drives that are starting to become the norm now, the chances of having a disk crash is a lot less because that's a physical thing, whereas the solid state is not physical; it's all electronic.
And they're super
Yeah.
fast.
And they are
Yeah.
super fast. So
They're
that's the
But
way to
they
go.
are, but
So
they are
ultim-
also.
Yeah,
But they are
ultimately,
also. Sorry, but they are also super expensive.
well, they're coming down in price. I haven't got one yet, but they are coming down like all technology.
They're not that bad. They're not that bad here because when I first got my laptop, the guy was quoted me a price of I think €80 for a solid state drive, and he'd install it in everything. So I think it was really €60 and then $20 to install it. So it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, they say they are coming down in price. But anyone who's got still the old one with the heads on the spinning discs, which are dirt cheap now, but I'd rather have a solid state drive if possible, because I assume that what can go wrong, well, nothing physical. That's a physical one, the current one. So anyway, so one probably in a few years, we won't even be worrying about so-called disk crashes, because those are physical things.
Yeah, everything's going to be in the cloud by then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
we're just going to be using dummy terminals. These laptops and everything, they're all going to be dummy terminals, and everything's going to be
like a Chromebook.
Yeah, but now tell you what, the person who actually said that network is the computer, the company he ran went out of business. I'm talking about Sun Computers.
Oh yeah, I remember Sun. That takes me back.
So we hope Google doesn't go out of business, because that's where a lot of us are starting to back up our information.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
I just hope that
Believe me,
Google's not sharing it with anybody.
Yeah. The thing with Google going out of business, it don't take long. No matter how big these companies are, if the wrong thing happens to them and they lose some of their funding all of a sudden, and they've overstretched their reach, boom, they're gone. You know, you look at all the industries that and companies and huge companies that have, have gone away. I mean, our car companies, a number of them were inches away from being gone, because if the government hadn't come in and bailed them out, we wouldn't have Chrysler, we wouldn't have Chevy right now. They would have gone in the last crash.
It's a very socialistic policy.
No, it's not
Of a
socialistic.
capitalistic government, strange way. But
it's not socialistic, because socialistic would be spread across the whole table. They only give that kind of money to certain people, the banks and people that have lots of money. That's it. They don't give it to you and I.
Yeah.
A real socialist would have helped me with my, helped me save my house instead of letting me lose it when I was in that situation.
Okay, now we're into politics and we need to get out of it. So, and I'm also looking at the time. We're almost at the top of the hour, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody had was able to throw their questions out. And Javita, I was wondering whether any of this was helping you at all, or did you have any questions or suggestions?
No, actually, it's really helping me because we all know, we are WA members, so we heavily depend on WA to back up our sites.
Yeah.
So till now, I'm not bothered about backing up my sites, but now after listening this, I'm now really seriously trying to back up my sites now regularly. But today I have found out a very good plugin for backup.
Yes.
That is Updraft Plus plugin.
Updraft.
Updraft Plus,
Hmm.
and it backups your sites within means it have a and restores all your backups, and you can also backup to cloud also.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay. There's another one.
And
There's a
there is a
number of them,
Hmm.
and I just use all-in-one migration because that's the one I come across and was recommended to. I've been told since that there are other ones, and I just didn't bother wanting to learn them. So
Yeah. Well, once you find something that works, why
yeah,
why
why
change?
change it? So
Hmm.
if you're using something else and you find something else, that's great. I
Mm.
mean,
So I'm hoping that oh, David, you put that in there. A Cronus True Image. I wanted to ask Vivek, is that a premium program or is there a free version?
I saw it looks like $49.95 US, I guess, on Amazon. So
Okay.
that's what they're talking about. So, and you can get a discount if you look for discounts.
Okay.
That's what
It's usually the most recent version with all the bells and whistles and all that will be the expensive one. If you go slightly the previous version, it still does most of what you need to do. It will be probably less than half the price. So
Well, that's a good approach. I never thought of it.
is that a year or is that a one-time fee?
I think it's a one-time fee.
Okay. I
Okay.
don't mind paying $45, $49, $50 for something if it's a one-time fee, but if it's a yearly fee, I don't care if it's $10 a year. It's always,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're no longer paying, they no longer back up, and you're thinking it's being done automatically, and it gets very frustrating.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'd rather pay a premium price to have it,
Mhm.
lifetime.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about backing up our computers. We've talked about backing up our website, and we've talked about a little bit about our files. I mean, the fact that we can do everything in the cloud. That's sort of a backup, but in a kind of a way, if the company goes away, then we're really sunk. So yeah, I guess we all got to think about how to. But I have to. I mean, just to in fairness to Google, for example, I mean they told us well in advance, for example, that Google Plus was going away. And so it gave us all opportunity to go in. Like, for example, I had 4 collections in Google Plus. I was able to download a free program that allowed me to export all of those things out of Google Plus and then import into Blogger is what I did. I put it over in Blogger. So they've given us lots of lead time, and there's been lots of information out there about all different alternatives and the way to fix things. So I have to stand for the fact that if something, if Google were to decide not to do Google Drive anymore, they would give lots and lots of warning, and some great techno person would figure out how we could quickly go in and download everything we have there. So I stand for the positive possibility. So so we are at 10:04 according to my computer. Any parting comments or questions before we?
Yeah, I would say only one thing. It's your data, the files you created, and the configurations you customized yourself. Those are the most important things. The operating system, The applications themselves, you can get them back from the disk, from the manufacturer or whatever. But the stuff that you created, you have to back it up yourself. If you don't,
Yeah,
no one else will.
this is true. That's a good idea. And that means we have to be organized. So, all right. So, thanks for a lively and informative discussion this morning, folks. And this is Sloan. Just reminding everyone it's important to do what you love with passion. And we shall see you next week.